Welcome to CS Week Success Stories, second Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern webinar series. These webinars are the top-rated workshops from our attendees for Conference 38 held last May in San Antonio. I am John Sild and I'm with CS Week. I'll be your moderator today. Denise Mullendor will be your host. CS Week and Conference 39 will be April 27th through May 1st, 2015 at the Charlotte Convention Center, Charlotte, North Carolina. This program will be recorded and available for playback, as are our other archived presentations found under the Educational Venues Second Tuesday link on our website. Attendees are encouraged to upload questions in the Q&A panel on the lower right of your screen. Be sure to click the All tab to make sure that I will see your question. Today's program, Strategies and Lessons Learned in Customer Engagement, presented by Jessica Cain, Director of Customer Strategies and Change Integration. Jessica Cain is currently responsible for digital customer strategy and change integration for Northeast Utilities and brings 20 years in the energy industry. She has focused on achieving excellent employee engagement, increasing customer satisfaction, and continuous improvement through strategic best practice change integration. Jessica, we're so glad you're with us today. Not only are you a good friend, we're glad that you're taking time out of your busy schedule to produce this webinar for us. Go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, John. So thanks all for joining today. This is a topic that includes some passions for me, both personally and professionally. Those of you who know me know I really, really enjoy the art and sciences of happiness, whether it's customer satisfaction or happiness of people through employee engagement. So what I'm aiming for today is to give you some strategies and lessons learned in customer engagement. We're going to be pretty transparent here, so I'm aiming for your questions as well to keep it relevant. Also, I'm hoping to give you some actionable takeaways on good and at least one bad thing that I think we did that we learned from. So with that, the areas I'm going to talk, actually first of all I'll go through Northeast Utilities. So we merged, several companies merged a few years ago, NSTAR Electric and Gas companies in the Boston area, with Northeast Utilities, which was Connecticut Light and Power, Public Service Company of New Hampshire, Western Massachusetts, and Yankee Gas. So now combined, we're 3.5 million customers, over 8,000 employees, and $7 billion. So we're a big dog in New England. As far as our goal, I mentioned this a bit, but more specifically, we're going to share the strategies that we've had at Northeast Utilities and their effectiveness at both increasing customer satisfaction and reducing costs in 3 areas related to our Blue Sky outage customer experience, eBill paperless adoption, and IVR transaction effectiveness. And those of you who've been through a merger in the last few years can usually end up with a similar goal related to a reduction in cost post-merger, and I don't think there's a utility out there that's aiming for high customer satisfaction. It seems to be a trend that everyone's aiming for top quartile. So try not to do too well with some of these strategies so that we can get to top quartile, which is our goal in Northeast Utilities. So first I'm going to take you through our Blue Sky outage customer experience, what the opportunity is, what we've heard from customers, our solution, did it save money, and our customer satisfaction impact. And this is one that's actually relevant across all utilities. So we have 3 million opportunities a year to provide an excellent Blue Sky day customer restoration experience. So again, we've got about 3.5 million customers. It's almost one opportunity a year to provide that experience. And keeping in mind that we were hit with Hurricane Irene and Superstorm Sandy and Snowstorm Nemo and Snowtober a few Octobers ago, we've been hit with some big major outage events, so we really need to visibly demonstrate to our customers that we are doing well in the restoration and power quality and reliability area. So 3 million opportunities, that's a lot of opportunities to show them what we can do. So what can we do with those 3 million opportunities? This graph here shows high level. The highlight would be that more outage information equals more satisfaction. So on the y-axis, this is the J.D. Power Satisfaction Index. The higher the better. And on the x-axis, this is the quantity of the points of information you've provided during a storm. So the main finding in this area that we consistently share with operations is that the more points of information you give, the more satisfaction. And if you give customers more than 6 points of information about their outage, they're more satisfied than if they had never had an outage. I'm sorry, there is a question. Some are not able to see the presentation. John or Denise, are you?
Okay, we're working on that right now.
Okay, can anyone see it, or is it just a few? So I'll pause for a minute then. Oh, we've got, thank you, Diana, for saying you can see it. Woo, oh, hi, Carrie, great. All right, so most people can see it, so I think I'll move ahead, but I'll make sure that verbally I'm hitting the key points that are in the slide. So if you give customers more than 6 points of information, they're more satisfied than if they never had an outage. And I'm going to say that one again because people think I'm misstating it. For customers who haven't had an outage, they are less satisfied than customers who have had an outage who you've given more than 6 points of information to. So really it is an opportunity with those 3 million blue sky outages. By doing an excellent job communicating, you can actually improve customer satisfaction. So the question, and actually right now I'm doing this as a roadshow, this part of the presentation as a roadshow with all of our operations managers, so maybe 120 across the company in segments of maybe 30 or 40. As far as points of information, we often underestimate what we have. We do have a lot more information than we know, and we'll show you how we're going to use that information. So as far as customers, what are some of the things they're asking for? We ran focus groups in each of our states to find out if our customer preferences were unique. They were not. Customers are looking for acknowledgement of the outage. We still have AMR here in AMR and manual read meters in our territory, so we do not know that the customer is out until they call us. Customers want to know how many customers are without power. Now that might seem like something customers are not interested in, but it is something that most utilities know from our outage management system modeling. We know that and can provide that. I want to know the cause. I want to know when we expect to be restored. Why is there an extension to the restoration? I want to know why, and send an update if anything happens. One of the comments we captured from the focus groups was that I want to know what is happening so I can reclaim my life, is what one of the participants said. So really, if it does become personal, you are in people's homes and people want to know more. So actually, I'm going to stick on this one for a second. This is one piece that we are sharing with operations. The most important piece of information you can give customers is the restoration projection. But right behind it is the cause. Similar to employees with employee engagement who want to know why we're doing the things that we're doing, customers want to know why. It's not that they can influence it, they just want to know why. They want to be in the know. Interestingly, near tied for cause is the second bullet on how many customers are without power, and that really is a gimme. That you don't need an update from operations, that comes from the models in the system, once a few customers have called in. So there are some pieces of information that are easier to get than others. So as far as what our design is, we use that focus group input and the J.D. Power input to guide our design. And our guideline was, let's provide as many points of information as possible when it's reasonably accurate. And that when it's reasonably accurate is probably what causes the majority of discussions. For example, restoration projection, do you give that at the time that, do you use the CAIDI, the customer average interruption duration index, or do you want to wait for an analyzer to analyze the job, or do you want to wait for someone in the field to go out and assess the job before you give that restoration projection? There are a lot of debates about that. I'll offer, if there is anyone from Entergy on the call, no, Entergy is doing best in this area, and they are using their average restoration projection, which is, right, accurate, nearly 90% probably plus of the time. So that definitely causes some discussion. But here's what it would sound like to customers in our ultimate vision. Once the power is out, it would be, we would call all customers. Instead of just calling customers who have called in to report, about 15% of customers call in to report the outage. 85% hear nothing about the outage. So 85% of that 3 million customers are the ones we're trying to get to. We would call them now and say there's been an outage in your area that was first reported at 1 o'clock. There are 317 customers affected. Work crews are en route. The restoration projection is 3 o'clock. It's a transformer on Smith Street that was caused by a car that hit a pole. We will call you again once we've restored power. So that's 9 points of information that we aim to give customers as soon as enough of the customers have reported the outage. Right now, that outage alert call for us, on the right, this is step B, that outage alert call is going out at around 30 minutes after the time the outage is first reported. On the back end, once we've restored, so as far as at each opportunity, once power is restored, we also call customers. Now, some of the customers we actually won't reach with the outage alert call out because their power has been restored by the time we're doing the outage alert, which is fine because we wouldn't want to be giving them a restoration projection that was based on an average and then be too early on that. So the restoration complete call out would be very similar. Power has been restored in your area at 3 o'clock. If we haven't told them any of the data points between 1 through 9, we will tell them at that point. And then we also give them the opportunity to let us know if they never had an outage, meaning we're calling them and our model has them on a place in the model where they actually are not connected. So this information gets back to operations so they can improve the connectivity model. We ask them if their power has been restored or if they still don't have power, so that we can make sure we're improving, continuously improving, and not leaving any customers without power in the field. Those two pieces, so with each opportunity with the outage alert callout B and D on the restoration complete callout, as of tomorrow, we will have implemented those for 3 of our 4 electric operating companies. Currently, we have Western Massachusetts and Connecticut that have implemented those too. So we are seeing, we're seeing a positive, yes, and so just to clarify on that, the big difference here from a few years ago is that instead of just calling customers who called us, we are calling all customers who we think are impacted by the outage. So if 15% of customers, which is typical, call in to report an outage, we're calling the 85% who didn't call in to let them know there's an outage in their area. So thank you for that question. And we're also calling all 100% on the restoration complete. So let's hear, I'm going to share a video for what the message is. Oops. Uh-oh. Bear with me for a moment here. Okay. All right, so you watch this maybe 5-minute video that shares how operations is really bringing this to the field, and it starts with our Chief Operating Officer communicating the value of this message out to the field. And it really does need to start from the top, from within operations, saying that this is as important as restoring power quickly.
Day in and day out, delivering safe and reliable service begins with you. How we maintain, how we operate, and how we restore. What's equally as important is
center with a question, and it was answered for them.
When the lights go out, I know I'm impatient. I usually jump in my car and go out and see what the problem is, and I'm looking for an ETR for myself. So people want to know. They want to know what's going on, how it's going to affect them. They want to know how long it's going to take just so they can get on with their, their daily lives. We need to get together, have a job briefing, make sure we can do the job safely, determine what it's going to take, and when we're determining what it's going to take, it's an important time to stop and say, hey, how long will it take, and get that information back to the SOC operator, who can then communicate it to our customers.
It's part of our job. It's kind of the process we do. It's standard practice.
Times have changed. Our customers are asking more of us. And by rights, they should be asking more of us. Their life has changed dramatically over the last 10, 15, 20 years.
Information is at people's fingertips, so they want to know immediately or as quick as possible, what's going on. And it's, our customer service. This is what, we need to do.
If we were to look at the power company 10 years ago, I don't think that we had some of the tools and services that we have available to us today. But I hope they keep that evolution going and grow and modernize and use technology to the fullest.
The first piece of this begins with us providing solid restoration projections for the outage that they're in the middle of.
I would ask them to call in their information as much as possible. What has happened with the outage, the damage that has occurred, and the estimated restoration time. And then please call in with updates as well as that information changes. My workers do their best, and they put their lives in danger, and we appreciate that. It is important for us to know what is the progress of their work.
In time, we hope to basically train our customers that we're going to give them reliable information via the web or through a phone call to tell them when that power is going to come back on. So that ultimately we can just do what we're out there to do, put the power back on, put the wires back together, and get them up in the air.
Our customers are asking us for more information, and we should be giving our customers what they ask for, day in and day out. And that's really what it comes down to, serving our customer base correctly.
All right. So thanks for bearing with us on that one as I adjusted the volume. But I did think it was important because I think often we try to drive change just from within the customer organization, and it really is important to get that operations buy-in. And I think, again, when you teach people why, whether it's your fellow employees or operations, they can take that to the field to motivate the change that's needed. It is a long journey, but starting with top down, you really need that support. So is this having an impact? Yes. The first month after we had implemented this restoration callbacks for all customers impacted and the outage alert call out for all customers impacted at CLMP and WMECO, we saw a 13% improvement in overall outage satisfaction, and that's based on, we do internal surveys each month that kind of mirror the same types of attributes that J.D. Power looks at. So we do that monthly. So an overall SAT improvement of 13% is significant. I think we've had some time now to look at where we can improve in this area, and I want to share that as well. In the blue, we've also captured some of the anecdotal feedback from customers in the surveys. They're saying, thank you. They're saying, informing me early is a good feeling and makes you more reliable. So after having the big storms that I mentioned from a few years ago, things that we can do to make customers, not just to be more reliable, but to make our customers perceive that we're more reliable, which is, there are two different components there. It's very important. So that communication makes a difference. I will say, as far as restoration projections and the timing, so I'm going to flip back just for a second. As far as lessons learned, around the restoration projections, we are putting in for 2015 a new key performance indicator for operations, and that'll be the percentage of restoration projections that they have in the system within 30 minutes. So not the automated projection, but one that a real person has looked at within 30 minutes, it's most likely an analyzer. On certain cases, it'll be in the fields, but we aren't yet seeing that culture change that we are aiming for a few of our operating companies where we do need a higher percentage of real restoration projections, because it's different if you're calling in and hearing the average restoration projection versus us reaching out to you. And if you're one of those customers who has a 6-hour outage because it is a car versus pole issue, you're not satisfied if we've just told you that our average restoration time is 1 hour and 45 minutes. So we've made great strides in this area. I will say CLMP got the highest improvement in the nation in customer satisfaction in the power quality and reliability area, and we attribute it to this Blue Sky, and that's just out in July. We attribute it to this Blue Sky effort, but in addition, we've had a real focus in operations to restore versus repair, meaning get the lights on and then come back and fix it, versus, you know, fix it fully, completely the right way the first time, which takes a lot longer to get customers on. So that's reduced our average outage duration by 30 minutes, from 2 hours down to 1 hour and a half. So we've had great progress. We look forward to next year's annual J.D. Power results showing the big lift that we saw starting in January. So I'll move on. The next area that I wanted to share was around our eBill paperless adoption. So these 3 strategies, they're unrelated, but it kind of shows our thought process as we're aiming for improvements. We'll go through, again, the opportunity, customer input, solution, savings, and the impact. So for those who haven't seen this before, this is customer satisfaction related to different billing and payment types of programs. So from left to right is increasing customer satisfaction. So the most satisfying thing that you can do in the billing and payment area is allow customers to select their bill date. The second most satisfying is for those customers who receive an electronic bill. So they're 28 points more satisfied than the average customer from an overall billing and payment perspective. So we're aiming to have more customers on eBill because it satisfies them and it saves significant money. So what we did here is showing the end result of our analysis, where we looked at on the x-axis would be the impact, meaning the number of customers that we were impacting, and on the y-axis it would be the cost or effort, either from a change management perspective or a dollars perspective or an IT perspective. So our goal was start at the bottom right and move our way over to the top left. And I'll explain maybe 3 of these top ones and share with you what the impact we had was. So converting dual accounts, we have customers who have both gas and electric accounts, where one of their account was electric, where one of their account was eBill and the other one was not. We reached out to those customers, let them know that we could see they have a preference for electronic billing, and we actually converted their complementary account to eBill. So that's a small segment of customers, but it's you know, a near 100% success rate, and we received no complaints about it whatsoever, actually, and we've received positive feedback on that one. So that one is kind of low-hanging fruit. Above it, this one was a big, huge impact for us, and this is probably our lessons learned one, where when we looked at who should we target a few years ago to improve our eBill adoption, we said the customers who are most likely to sign up for eBill are the customers who are already online e-paying. Now, we couldn't access customers through our bank, through the websites that our customers go to the partnering banks that send us payments. They really protect their real estate to do their own marketing. So it's really customers who come to our website to pay. And what we did here, we played around with a pop-up that would, you know, kind of guide them, you know, first passively and then more aggressively towards signing up for eBill. And then through another experience that we had outside of the industry, we realized we had the opportunity to check the box. And by check the box, what I mean is for customers who are coming into ePay, we had already had the option right there when they were e-paying to eBill. So we pre-selected that eBill sign-up box. Then we popped up a message saying you've just signed up for eBill. You know, if you want to say no now. We sent them a confirmation email saying you've just been signed up for eBill. If you want to say no, here's, you know, click here and you'll be unenrolled. But that was hugely impactful, and I'll share how impactful that was. You'll see the graph on the next slide, but that was a big game changer last year. And that said, we had to take a close look at the impact on customer satisfaction. So I'd say probably 95% of the people who we did that with were fine, but there was a vocal few who were adamantly opposed to that, and we heard from them. The customers who would come every month to do a one-time payment via the website. And our reps gave us input as well, basically saying, could you set a preference so that customers won't have to have this set for them each time they come every month to pay their bill. And we've actually retracted, gone back to not pre-checking that box at the end of last year, but it was a huge value from an adoption perspective. We didn't see it regress to where it was before then, but we thought based on some of the polarized customer feedback that we should not be as aggressive with that. I assume I'll get questions on that one later too. The next one down, actually offering free music downloads at the logon. That one and the bottom one, where it's offer free music downloads via email. These two are through a find that we had at the CS Week conference 2 years ago. They're called e-billing rewards. Basically, we give customers 3 songs, like 3 downloads of an Amazon, of an iTunes song or a movie you can pay for. We get about 1.5% adoption when we send out email solicitations to customers who are not on eBill using this e-billing rewards option. We get 2 to 5% adoption when we use that same promotion once a customer has logged into our site but is not on eBill. So it is cost effective. It costs us a few dollars per customer, and we know the cost each month saved for a paperless bill is at least 50 cents. So within 6 months, you've got $6 there to, did I do that right? So within 1 year, you've got $6 saved, and it really is cost effective. So other ones we have, I guess the last one I'll hit is the CSR enrollment competitions. I would say this year 65% of our enrollment has been through our customer service reps. And 2 years ago when we reached out to the best in this area, which included Tampa Electric, I think Florida Power, they said it's really a part of their rep culture. So every month this year we've done a rep competition where we give a financial award to the reps, the top 3 reps who enroll the largest percentage or the largest number of customers on eBill. And then we study what they're doing and share that information with the other reps to try to grow everybody's competency in getting people signed up. Last one on promote via NU bundled services. I think this is SRP. So SRP does this great thing from a few years ago. We'd seen they have easy, easier, easiest, a bundling of eBill with ePay with recurring direct debit, or eBill with budget bill with recurring direct debit. They bundle things, which keeps it really easy for customers right up front. That's an opportunity in the future. We're not there yet, but we're looking forward to delivering that. So this is our overall strategy and kind of let us know where to focus. And so our effectiveness was in March, actually it was May 2013, you can see this chart kind of skyrocket. Our adoption rate increased tenfold. So we went from about 1,500 customers signing up monthly to 15,000 in that first month of May. This continued through the first 5 months at that rate of 15,000, 12 to 15,000 customers. So it's huge, but because of that polarized few, the few that were disenfranchised with us doing that each month, we actually pulled back and no longer pre-check that box for our monthly payers. But despite that, we have seen that steady improvement of customer satisfaction overall in this billing and payment category, 4% improvement in satisfaction, and the annual savings just from the 2013 changes we implemented achieved an additional $1.3 million of incremental cost reduction. So that's about 1% of our total customer operating budget. So that's our eBill story, along with some transparent lessons learned. The last story that I have to tell you about is around our IVR transaction effectiveness story. So this one is looking ahead. We have just signed a contract with AT&T for both our IVR and our ACD solutions, and but this is what we think we're going to get. So the opportunity, we have about 18% of our customer interactions happen through the IVR, meaning they're completed within the IVR. Obviously, all that get to a rep have gone through the IVR. But the opportunity is that 50% of the things customers are trying to do in the IVR are not being completed. So a 50% transaction completion rate, that's pretty terrible. That's an F, is what we said about a year ago. So what are we going to do? We want to do our simple transactions very well. We want to improve customer satisfaction by eliminating the transactions with the lowest completion rates. So those are the very complex things. We're not going to try to do this. We're not going to annoy customers in the IVR with those anymore. And yet the simplest things, and I'm going to walk you through what those are, we're going to try to do very well and keep it very easy. We know that this decreases costs by reducing the rep-handled calls, increases customer sat, and then our internal key performance metric is around this IVR transaction completion rate. So this is one of the benefits of a merger, and multiple operating companies. So our IVR strategy is leveraging what works best. We looked at each of our operating companies, and just for perspective, the 3 operating companies, CLMP, PSNH, and Western Massachusetts, are on one IVR, and NSTAR is on another. On the left-hand list, transactions, these are all the transactions that happen within the IVR, the quantity of those transactions, and then the completion rates, the transaction completion rates. So what we did is look at this as an answer key. Who's doing what best, and let's go steal what they're doing. And we had 3 approaches. Either we're going to start doing some things, pull some functionality forward that we're doing well. We're going to change some functionality so that we can do things better and continue to offer it. And we're going to stop doing some things that really have very limited chance of being successful. And at the end of the day, they're going to frustrate customers who spend minutes in the IVR and then talk to a rep and tell the rep, spend precious time with the rep telling them how horrible that experience was. So I'll walk through a few of these on, I'll start with make a payment. So that's the biggest opportunity, I'm sure, for all utilities that would be consistent, that one time making a payment. So we've got 60 to 70% on one side of our IVR and 43% at our NSTAR, within our NSTAR IVR. So we looked at this as an opportunity. What barriers are we putting in there? And it turned out, and this is an effort where you're going in and looking at specific business rules that prevent customers from making a payment in the IVR, and then they go to a rep and they can do it perfectly fine. So we're looking at, if a customer wants to make a credit card payment, let them all day long. There should be no barriers for customers making a credit card payment. And we had barriers in there. If they are have received a disconnect notice, for example, yet are not actively disconnected and are not pending disconnect, let them make a payment. They shouldn't have to talk to a rep. It's only, for us, it's when there's an order in the field they should have to talk to a rep. But we dove deep into each of the business rules across the operating companies to figure out what the differences were, and then said, go loosen the rules over here. For new service and start service, so those have abysmal completion rates. We have over 200,000 customers trying to move in on the IVR and 3% success rate. That means for nearly 200,000 customers that they've just had a terrible experience every year. Transfer service, the same thing. It's a little bit higher success rate, but basically we know that IVRs, it's really hard to hear and understand, to translate addresses. So that's something we should just say, you know what, we're not going to be good at it. Don't do it. Don't bother annoying customers with that. And one that we do well is the last 3 payments. Once we authenticate someone, we thought we should pull this forward. So for the last 3 payments and here a balance, we've changed our IVR so that now as soon as a customer logs in, we give them that information right up front. What's their balance? What are the last 3 payments? In addition, we are also now telling them if they've received a disconnect notice, we didn't previously tell them what that amount was so that they could pay it in the IVR without having to talk to a rep. So let's say 40% of our customers are in a credit status. That 40% historically would have needed to talk to a rep to find out how much they owed, how much they needed to pay to avoid a disconnect. That's low-hanging fruit. So this is where, this gave us some guidance and answer keys on what to start with from a business rules perspective. So we took that and this strategy, by going through those business rules, this is to look at the solutions. So the strategy that we turned it into saves 770,000 negative customer interactions a year and about 1.8 million annually. So I'll walk through the ones that might be, give the call center angst, which would be, let's see, on eliminate start service right up at the top. So we know there were 206,000 negative interactions a year. That's based on 97% failure rate. So that means only 3% were going to the call center. So it's really only 5,900 additional calls to the call center. So at an average rate, I think we just used $4. At an average rate of $4, that costs the call center $23,000. Our IVR transaction completion rate goes up by 2%. The level of effort we thought would be high just with IT, but we use that as an input into where to focus. This process we went through on each one of these, what's the opportunity to eliminate negative interactions? What's the impact on the call center? The cost, either savings or addition that the call center would need to handle that, and then at the end of the day, the impact on the net impact. So based on the pluses and minuses, even including elimination of all start service, all transfer service, with the addition of with the removal of a number of business rules that were making it more complex, we believe we can increase our transaction completion rate by at least 14%. So taking us from 50 to 64%. I think the best utility in the nation is Duke, one of the Duke companies, and they're at about 75%. So we think at 64%, we've still got room to grow. This is just the the lowest hanging big fruit that we could find, but I think this is a big this will definitely move the needle from a customer sat perspective. Similar to what we did with eBill, we plotted this to figure out where to focus first. Unfortunately, nothing showed up in that pure yellow space, but the eliminated negative customer interactions are on the bottom, increasing over here, and then the level of change effort is on the left. And again, that's change management IT plus. So we'd start here and then work our way to here. Eliminating start service is the biggest positive impact in customer sat, but we do know it's an IEP effort. So I won't go through the details of this one, but it just helps each time with limited resources and limited time say where should we focus. And it's not a precise science, but at least it's consistent. So again, that would we're aiming for that reduction of 770,000 negative customer interactions and nearly $2 million in O&M savings. And stay tuned for our results. It probably won't be implemented until the end of 2015, so we'll hopefully see the results in 2016 from our IVR implementation. And with that, those are our stories to share and with our successes and opportunities in Blue Sky, eBill, and the IVR. So I'll open to questions, but I also have at least one already in the queue. There's a question. Oh, go ahead.
We've got one, Jessica, right here. Let me jump in there. It's
Sure.
Are you seeing the customer satisfaction impact that you were targeting on the Blue Sky restoration customer experience?
Good question. So in that first month that we In the first month that we implemented the Blue Sky restoration, we did see that customer satisfaction improvement. Let me pull back to that. So this 13% improvement in overall outage satisfaction. We just got the annual results from J.D. Power in July, and we're not seeing the percentage of customers at CLMP and Western Massachusetts that we would expect to say that, yes, they know we've communicated to them after an outage. It's not moving as quickly. So where we've looked there is, so any of you who are involved in the Blue Sky process, understanding very deeply between operations and your outbound dialer group, what the triggers are for who you're calling and when is really important. We implemented the outbound calls for customers once the job was complete. So if I have several customers report an outage, collects up to an event, as soon as the job is complete, meaning they've finished all the work related to that outage, we call them. But what we should have done is trigger it based on the job status of restoration complete, because now they can get power on, but come back and do additional work after the fact. And if it's more than 1 hour after the time the power is restored, if they keep that job open for more than that, we're not getting those customers to call. So really important to understand how operations is using their outage management system in order to get enough customers to call. So it turns out that we are only reaching out to about 50% of the customers who we think we should be on these Blue Sky outages because we're not getting the outages. The other piece is if you have any major outage events or gray sky days like threats of tornadoes, thunderstorms, operations toggles that off. They turn off the outage communication because you'd be giving inaccurate ETRs. And then as far as the times to not call customers, we have had about 4 years of experience doing these restoration callbacks with just those customers who call us. What we found is they don't like us to call them before 8 a.m. and they don't like us to call them after 9 p.m. So we only call between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m., but we do it all year round. So every day there's not a we do it on Saturdays and Sundays too. And I also see, John, can I? Is it okay if I
go ahead. Go ahead.
So I see another question from Ms. Lemlin. How do we keep track of customers that do not want to be notified about outage information updates? We have a do not call list so that we won't make an outbound call to them. We don't have the sophistication implemented yet to do it via text and mobile app or email, but we envision that that's going to be needed as well for that group. But we really haven't seen customers saying stop updating me other than some of our internal presidents, our transmission presidents that don't notify him because he already knows. But we really haven't seen customers saying don't let me know when we're out, which is interesting. Percentage of accounts that have good phone numbers. It's about 85% of our customers that have good phone numbers, and recently we invested with Experian to purchase phone numbers for those customers who have invalid phone numbers or missing phone numbers. And we also are used Experian to supplement our customer information where we wanted to add email addresses. So prior to a major outage event, we do send proactive communication via email. So we have about 50% of our customers' email addresses. Another question from Christina Mees. Do you all use text and or email in addition to outbound calls? Not yet. Text we don't use yet. Email we do, but not dynamically, meaning prior to a major outage event potentially coming, we'll email all customers saying be prepared, here's what's coming, here's a link to our website, but we don't do it dynamically based on their outage on a Blue Sky day. That makes questions. I see a question about does the additional work cause a second outage? So this could be related to nested outages. So if there's a nested outage, then a customer, might be associated with multiple events. And I would say we haven't completely tackled the issue of nested outages with outbound calls yet. It's not a high frequency, but right now if they're involved in multiple events, we would be calling them twice for each event. So that's an opportunity as well. Let's see. From Jacqueline Shine, how do you conduct your customer surveys? So about a year and a half ago post-merger, we made a significant investment in harmonizing the questions and the target customer sampling that we were surveying. And we shifted nearly all of our surveys from phone to via email, which is the way J.D. powers surveys. So we use Qualtrics. We have a Qualtrics license across the whole company, and we survey each month on a number of attributes, including outages, overall random customer satisfaction, our new customer connect process. And I would offer that if anyone does shift from phone to web, you can talk to J.D. Power about this as well, you will see about an 8 to 10% decrease in customer satisfaction. Just from a behavior perspective, people are more forgiving or they're nicer in how they grade when they're talking to a live person versus when they send it back via email. So that's something to anticipate so you can pre-soak your executives about the decline in satisfaction results. But it did save a significant amount by shifting from phone survey to email survey. Diane Sharp, so when you're restoring versus repairing, does the work you have to go back and do cause a second outage? Typically, thanks for clarifying that. Typically, the restore versus repair is not causing a second outage to those customers. It's basically get the lights on in the middle of the night and come back when we've got during daylight hours where they're not on overtime, and you can put the right long thing in place afterwards. And it saved 30 minutes off of our average, off of our KD, which is pretty significant. Katie Williams, has the outage alert call out been proven to reduce calls to the call center? Our hypothesis was yes, and we haven't measured that yet. So we haven't seen any blip of customer calls coming back in, and we are making about, just for Connecticut and Western Massachusetts, we're making about 100,000 outbound calls a month, and we're not seeing that influx back. We do give them the option, the 3 options that we think that they'd be interested in. Are you still out? Were you never out? Or do you not know because you're not home? So as long as they can select one of those options, then I think that's what they've been doing. Have I missed any questions coming in?
I don't think so. I think you've picked them all up. You've done a very good job of that.
Yeah, are there any other questions? Back to the end. So we are aiming to hit top quartile customer sat in 2016, and these are the 3 of the ways we're going to do it. But as you can see, in at least once, we got a little too aggressive and ratcheted back, yet still guarded the overall goal of improving customer satisfaction. So with that, John, I don't have, but you know what, I will thank the whole group, because I think one of the great things about being in this industry is that we all can be transparent and share lessons learned with each other because we're not competing for the same customers. So thanks in advance. If you guys know more than we do in any area, I hope you share that, because that's the fastest way for us all to get better.
Jessica, thank you again for spending the time with us today. We are nearing the top of the hour, and we want to be respectful of everyone's time. If you have a question that you think of at a later point in time, email Denise Mullendor with the CS Week office, and she'll forward those questions on to Jessica, and we can get you an answer for that. One quick note, the award submission for the Expanding Excellence Awards is now open. So go to our web address, csweek.org, look for the Expanding Excellence Awards, and go ahead and make your submission. So we encourage each and every one to take advantage of that. Again, thank you, Jessica, and we want to thank all our attendees for being online today. And with that, this will conclude our webinar.
Thank you.